Hello, welcome to episode 2 from our Back to Basics Business Technology Platform series. In the first episode, we learned what a database is and how to store. Let's focus now on what is SAP HANA a little bit more in detail. So in a nutshell, I want to introduce within 10-20 minutes what SAP HANA actually is so that we can understand how it fits into this general program. SAP HANA is a database that has three main characteristics. It's in memory, it's row based and column based. What does it mean? It means that we store everything in tables. Tables can be orientated in rows and can be orientated in columns. We saw that in the previous episode. Now, if we want to have a full view of the data for the usage for both transactions and analytics, both are important, and having them in the same database is of a big advantage for the end customer. Being in memory means we store the data in memory, we read from the memory. So data resides where it's used. There is no transportation between storage and usage. Big advantage in regard to performance. Now, like any database, we need to administer this database. We need to put data in and we need to take the data out and read that data. In order to administer, we will use SAP HANA Studio that has to be installed somewhere for each DBA basically. Now, if we want to load data, there are many ways to load. The first one is to take the data from an existing database and load it, transform it into the database. This process is called ETL, extraction, transformation, load. It can be called and sometimes used extraction, load, and then transform. Both can be done with SAP HANA utilizing the Smart Data Integrator engine that is part of SAP HANA. In some other cases, what we want to do is duplicate the data, replicate the data. So just take it as it is, like a photocopy into SAP HANA. This can be done via SLT, SAP Transformation Landscape Software, replication software. Now, once the data is in the system, what we want to do is read it. Again, SAP HANA is made of tables, therefore SQL will be the language to read those tables. SQL language is standard query language. It's pretty common. It's a standard that basically any database can use. That means that any front end can utilize SAP HANA as a database. It also means that any third-party tool can use that. Any third-party application can do that. And the connection is done via ODBC, JDBC. Now it's an SAP database, so BICS protocol can be used. The BICS protocol is a protocol specifically from SAP. And this one is used by SAP front-end products such as Business Objects or NetWeaver BW. Now, in many cases, customers will say, yes, but if I want to do analysis, I don't want to go via tables, I want to go via cubes. A cube is a three-dimensional object. Our brain can easily imagine what a 3D object is. Now, for analysis purposes, we probably have more than 3 dimensions. Dimension being the country, being the customer, being the time, being, as said, the geography, being the version of a plan, for instance. So we might have 15, 20 dimensions, sometimes more. A cube technology simply pre-calculates all the possible intersections of all possible dimensions, all elements in each dimension. So these cubes can grow big and big. Therefore, usually they are loaded at night and people are doing the analysis on the data that is a day old at best. Most of the time as well, we see customers having cubes rebuilt on the weekend because the night is not long enough. Here, what we do with SAP HANA, we still do cubes in the sense that we emulate them via views. And these views give the front-end level, so the front-end layer. We can basically use any front-end tool doing MDX being the language, multi-dimensional expression. Again, it's a standard. So any front-end tool doing MDX will have the impression it talks to a cube, but actually it talks to the tables that are stored in SAP HANA. The advantage of having that is that as soon as data is entered in the table, it's available automatically, instantly to the OLAP engines or OLAP tools. This is where SAP says we bring OLTP and OLAP together. OLTP stands for Online Transactional Process, and OLAP stands for Online Analytical Process. So that's a big advantage. Now, all this is just data that is in the center of my little sketch here. The outside world is requesting information, not necessarily data. How do I transform data into information? By enhancing it. Now, if I want to enhance data, I simply have to go through some functions to do so. We deliver a business function library, so lots of functions are included in HANA that we can use, similarly to what we do in Excel when we use a function in a cell pointing to another cell so that we have a different visualization. Here, if the function does not exist, you can script it utilizing the scripting engine. The parallel calculation engine is basically the optimizer. It will chop a long-running query into smaller ones, running faster, and runs them in parallel mode. So that's very efficient when it comes to performance. Now, what we can have as well is unstructured text. Unstructured text is very important when it comes to social media, where data is entered as a string of text, a sentence. But it can be as well something that is scanned from a paid invoice, for instance, or whatever text you can imagine that needs to be interpreted, that needs to be understood. We have an engine here to do this. So it will enhance the text or the data and make it relevant. So it might launch a process, it might trigger a KPI calculation, it might do whatever you need to do with it. In other cases, we have geospatial data. Geospatial data is very easy in the sense that it's longitude, latitude, possibly altitude, and position, whether it's lying, standing, on the side, whatever. Very, very structured data, very easy to read because it's just numbers. But it gives, north, south, latitude, longitude, east, west. Not very easy for us brains to understand that. Now, when this data is plotted on a map, it's much easier to grab. Once it's on a map, it's easier to grab a set of points. It's easier as well when it's on a map to design or create a perimeter, a fence around this perimeter, and allow or not allow or need to be warned when one of these dots is crossing the fence. That's very important as well. This engine exists in SAP HANA. You can use it if you want to. Another one that's very important is graphs. Graphs means relationship between two data points. That's very important when it goes to fraud detection. You want to track a set of transactions, each transaction being taken individually, being absolutely legal, but the set of transactions is not legal. That can only be done if a graph engine is available here. Another usage is the predictive analysis. And obviously, we deliver 90 algorithms on predictive analytics, and if this is not sufficient, you can even code yours in R and run them in the memory. As you can see on the circle around, it's very close to data. That means data doesn't have to transfer to any other place. It's there where we need it, exactly the same as for any other engine that we can see on that sketch here. Now, sometimes you want to do machine learning. You want to utilize prediction on data that is not structured. That's exactly what machine learning does. Instead of having numbers, we have videos, we have sounds, we have photographs. The machine learning engine will run. The algorithm might be outside, developed outside, but we integrate that with TensorFlow, for instance. Now, in some cases, what you want to do is develop your own application. In order to do so, you can bring your own language, basically, but most of the new standard languages, such as Python, such as Go, such as JSON, can be used. You want to connect, though, to data being stored in HANA. How do you connect? Via OData. And the program, the applications you've written, will run then in HANA, in the XSA server. This one is, again, very close to data, so data does not have to go from storage to where it's used. Another application could be data privacy. Data privacy means you want to hide some texts, some fields, some elements in the field for the end user. You want to show only the last 4 digits of a credit card number. Yes, you do XXXX and the digits. This, if it's done at the database level, close to data, every program application utilizing that field will see the same result. You want to do anonymization of data because for whatever GDPR reason, you have to hide some levels of data to the end user. Absolutely feasible with this engine here. In some other cases, data resides outside your system. It comes via flows. It's a flow of data coming in, just like the gate at the entrance of a building, just like your telephone telling every 2 seconds to the telco operator, I'm here, I'm here. The flow of data needs to be read and needs to be understood. Maybe we need to take an average over the last 30 minutes like we do on the stock market. Smart data streaming will do this for you. And of course, we can apply any of these and all together if need be, engines that are surrounding the data here. In some cases, we have data residing outside. We want to read it, but definitely not store it again into HANA. We would use smart data access to read any database outside, grab the data that's needed, apply the algorithms again, combine this data with existing data, maybe with flow data, and apply the result or display the result. That is within HANA here. But it's a database that needs to be administered, that needs to run. So we definitely need load balancing. We definitely need failover. We definitely need high availability and disaster recovery. So all this is feasible. It's included. You can do that. In some cases, you want partitioning because you don't want the data to be stored in memory for everything. Some of it may be stored outside memory, maybe on disk, maybe on a disk outside the HANA appliance. Maybe it can even be completely outside. Yes, partitioning is there. We can use it. We can parameterize it. And then we have active read enable. That means the secondary node of your production environment that is only replicated in real time can be used for reading purposes. So very interesting as well, again, in large deployments where we need full 24/7 access to the database. And finally, we do have to administer the database, the HANA Cockpit. HANA Cockpit is basically the web version of the HANA Studio. So you don't even need to install anything on any laptop or any computer. That is SAP HANA. This is what a customer gets when he installs SAP HANA. Everything's included. So it's a database with huge platform capabilities around. Having said that, I give you an appointment for the next video that will cover SAP IQ, SAP ASE, and SAP SQL Anywhere. Thank you very much. See you soon.